Okay. Hang on just a second.
Hello, everybody. Good morning and happy Wednesday. We're having some technical difficulties here, but I'm really glad that you're all here. We've got a great crew. We got, hey, Max. We are Ronan. We got Miguel. We got Mr. Willie Bragg in the house. Who else do we got in there? CBC Voter. We got Chuck's Intergalactic UFO Show. Chuck, we got some stories for you to comment on, things going on this jerkwater planet. So yeah, it is good to see everybody here. And we are going to be talking about 5 million different things. It's interesting. We're living in interesting times and we got a lot going on. And there is Uncle Warren.
Hey guys. Can you hear me, Lainey? Everything good?
I can hear you. I can see you.
Okay.
We've been having all kinds of tech problems this morning. So I'm all hardwired in because I'm done with science and AirPods and stuff.
Hang on a second. I forgot to add one more thing because I'm an idiot. Yeah, it's been one of those mornings. So
it has been.
Anyway.
Yeah. Quick reminder, if you're checking us out over on Instagram, your comments are not coming to us on StreamYard. I will be checking Instagram if you've got some comments that you would like to share, and we can read them off, but they don't come in through our regular system. If you do want to follow us like on YouTube or on Rumble or on Facebook, I'm going to give you our link tree over here. And that's where you can connect with us everywhere else. But of course, if you like watching us on Instagram, we love having you.
Yeah. How you like this new vertical format there on the old Instagram? Look, it's like we're on a game show or something. We're competing for prizes.
We're all snuggled up, Uncle Warren.
Oh, godly. I know. I like that kind of stuff, but sometimes it's too much of my face. And so I have to kind of lean back a little bit. But then I look very peahead on the horizontal one. So anyway, yeah. Good morning, everybody. Over on we're on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and Instagram, like Lainey said. And yeah, we got stuff for you today. And yeah, we're totally gonna do the old news thing, and then something. My browser just went poof, went away into the ether, never to be seen again until I, reopened it. So, yeah, when you have a browser-based system like this, and your browser accidentally crashes, yeah. Anywho, we got news for you. I meant to tell you this. I got surprises for you. We got new graphics because I'm always toying with this show, right?
You're always toying with stuff, Uncle Warren.
I like this. I like to make things better. I don't know. And plus I'm lazy too in some respects. But so we're starting today with the old Riptide here. Look at that. Oh, that's magic. Look at that. Doesn't it hypnotize you? The letters
It
makes you
that's all like modern and stuff, and it's kind of
makes you want to swim in treacherous waters.
It does.
Anyway, that's crazy talk. So we should probably add that. So let's get started with the bad news, everybody. Well, actually, this is not bad news. This is interesting news.
It is.
Americans more supportive of higher taxes once informed of universal benefits of public goods, according to a study. So instead of just saying communism, socialism, it's like universal benefits of public goods. People tend to go, beep, the little ears go up. That's right. It's just what we tell people, Lainey. It's how we tell it to them. You can be sincere but convincing at the same time. So a new study challenges the common assumption that Americans are preternaturally averse to higher taxation, showing that public attitudes become more favorable once people are made aware of the universal benefits of public goods funded by their tax dollars. The study, conducted by Japanese researchers, interesting, it's an outside point of view here, and published last month in the Japanese Economic Review, separated the U.S.-based participants into a treatment group and a control group. People in both groups were asked questions about their views on government size, spending, and taxation, but those in the treatment group were provided passages explaining the universal benefits of tax-funded transportation systems, public roads, trash disposal, and sewage infrastructure. Researchers intentionally crafted the passages to highlight the benefits of universal goods, not means-tested programs targeted at low-income Americans. Before and after reading the above passages, I guess this is if you're listening to this, there's more stuff. It's a lot of reading. But we'll get the participants in the treatment group were asked, how much of your taxes do you think are used for public goods and services that benefit all of you? They were also asked whether they agree with the following statement. Regardless of income, everyone in the U.S. more or less benefits from public spending. The researchers found that the treatment passages substantially increased support for public spending, a larger government, and higher taxes among study participants. After consuming the provided information on the benefits of public goods, nearly 64% of those in the treatment group said they would support an across-the-board tax increase of 1%. 1%. In the control group, support was significantly lower at 52.5%. If people become aware that more public goods are provided than they previously thought, the government might politically achieve more redistribution through expanding its size without reducing policy progressivity, the study authors wrote. Although we focused on transportation and trash disposal systems, governments provide other public goods, exploring how our results may or may not generalize to other public goods would be interesting. So the study was published amid a growing national debate over the for-profit U.S. healthcare system, with Democrats pushing for an extension of tax credits that help millions of Americans afford private insurance plans and also helps private insurance companies, while Republicans float vague and unworkable alternatives. Congressional progressives, for their part, have used the healthcare fight to elevate their case for Medicare for All, the only plan on offer that would secure universal health care and at a lower overall cost than the status quo. Opponents of Medicare for All, which would eliminate premiums, copays, and deductibles, have balked at the taxes Americans would have to pay to fund comprehensive health coverage for everyone in the United States. But $1 trillion military, that's no problem. But the Japanese Economic Review study suggests that U.S. public opinion on taxes is malleable, particularly when people are informed of the benefits of universal programs. And that's the thing. It's I think people are given, what is it? straw man arguments and stuff about saying, oh, they just automatically point to the 1980s and the Soviet Union and bread lines and stuff. And you don't necessarily have to have a full-on communist society for something like this to happen. This is just basic socialism. We already have socialism implemented in our system anyway. This is just, and this is just things that would benefit people. And the people who think about it from an economic standpoint, when they say, oh, well, it's good. Well, no, you're going to save money. You actually save money with this. But the thing is, the insurance companies, you know the thing.
Mm-hmm.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, I think you're frozen on this side. I can hear you. Unless you're sitting really still.
Sorry. I am going to see what's going on here. I think these are gremlins. I think that the gremlins are doing something here. Trying to take this all out. So
there's also solar flares out there too. There's like chronomass ejections.
Well, and cloud flare has been going crazy.
Yeah,
so that's true. What's happening.
I know the cradle.
I think Chuck is involved in this. Chuck, can you send out your drones to figure this out?
Chuck's a devil. Where is Chuck? Where is that guy?
He's there.
Why aren't you out here fixing our stuff, Chuck? I know you deliver pizzas, but you can fix things too. I know your people. Nobody ever brings us the Space Force Planetary. What does it say? So the healthcare solutions.
Well, idea next to it. Yeah.
So silly. So yeah. I think. Hang on, just a second. That's the thing. When you explain to people what taxes should be doing now, a lot of people's taxes are doing right now. Yes, I would say a lot of us could probably unite around those ideas where it's like, no, we don't want our taxes going to, A, B, C, and D in this situation, right? It's not benefiting society. So, we should focus on the ones that do that and less on these. And then, of course, you're going to get a lot of friction from lobbyists and that sort of thing.
Well, I think, I've heard this from people living abroad in this conversation, that a lot of Americans feel like they're constantly being nickeled and dimed, not only through taxes, but through fees and that sort of thing, levies and that sort of thing. And they don't seem to be getting much. They're not getting good health care. They're not getting good education. They're not getting good public transportation. They don't have public lavatories. There's no social safety net. So why should I pay taxes? If I'm not feeling like I'm benefiting in any way, and then there's that extra layer of trying to keep us divided by getting people to punch down on the poor, refugees, people of color, the disabled. You've got a really toxic soup there, and if people in the U.S., particularly your middle class, working class, lower middle class, people who are just getting by or trying to get by and are saying, well, I'm paying all this taxes. I'm paying this fee here, that. If I have an application, I've got to pay a fee for my garbage, and I've got to pay a fee if I want to get a driver's license or my license plates, and I'm not getting any benefits. There's still potholes on the road. We got aging infrastructure. How am I benefiting? Well, of course, they're not going to like the idea of public spending. But again, if you show the people the advantages and you can say, look, this could be better and we could do a better job if the people who were managing all this were to prioritize good things for everyday people. And in fact, not just for everyday people, for everybody. Everybody benefits from a good public park, from, people making well into the six figures, down to people who are making, low five figures. Everybody benefits from having a good public park. And if you can, but we don't do that here in the U.S. We don't showcase that. We don't explain it. And people don't feel empowered to do anything about it. So it is hopeful hearing about this.
Yeah, it's just we've been so propagandized to think that capitalism is the end all be all. While there can be, if you take out the human element, there are some elements of capitalism that aren't that bad. But
Or free
as
markets,
a yeah,
letting people buy things, or start businesses, or being able to make choices. But when
right,
it is out of control and it goes against the common good, we start having problems,
exactly,
big ones.
and that's the thing. And when you prioritize corporations over small businesses too, when the small businesses themselves are the heart of the communities, and you take out those small businesses, then your communities tend to go away, and disperse, and you know, and that's another way to divide people
Well,
too. Is that
yeah, you no longer have a neighborhood with neighbors. You have a place to live. You have a town or an incorporation. You have a corporation. I mean, actually, towns and cities are corporations. They become corporations, and they're not neighborhoods. It is this, smaller businesses, and we can make a lot of critiques about smaller businesses because many of them do have terrible business practices and will treat their employees terribly, and that's its own set of problems. But they are also the thing that keep neighborhoods neighborly. They make it places desirable places to live. Yep, there you
yeah,
go, Chuck.
yeah. Commerce isn't the same thing as capitalism. A lot of people have difficulty separating those concepts. Yeah, just like the stock market isn't the economy. It's a
Ugh.
casino. It's investment. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It makes a job opportunities and the economy grow, but at what cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, these corporations are being prioritized over small businesses, and and then you're going to end up with a Judge Dredd future with all these. You're going to have these giant mega cities that's just run by corporations, and the corporations have their own security. And well, you can pretty much say that free speech is probably not an option in places like that. Holiday jobs postings.
Oh,
This is terrible.
yeah, it is.
Did you see this? Did you? No, I'm just kidding. Of course you saw this. Uh,
Yeah, I found it, and I'm like, ooh, this is not good.
U.S. retail holiday job posting slump, Indeed says. Yeah, so I figured this was going to happen too. Retail related job postings, including hospitality, retail shops, and food services, dropped 16% in October compared to last year, according to the Indeed Hiring Lab, a concerning sign for the spending outlook for the important holiday shopping season. The retail hiring slump falls below pre-pandemic levels for seasonal hiring, providing an inkling into U.S. retailers' demand expectations for the holiday season. Notably, publicly traded retailers are making fewer announcements of their holiday hiring plans than in the past. The nation's largest retailer, Walmart, and rival Target have not announced seasonal hiring plans for 2025, although they made statements in previous years. Burlington stores, which plan to hire more than 24,000 workers last holiday season, declined to comment on this year's hiring goals. Yikes. Retailers may restrain hiring due to added burdens of tariffs, sagging consumer sentiment, and the 41-day U.S. government shutdown, said Indeed Hiring Lab senior economist Daniel Culbertson. Consumer sentiment hit a 3.5-year low in early November, according to the University of Michigan's November survey. Amazon in October announced that it's hiring 250,000 seasonal workers for the third straight year. Catalyst Brands with Jones Aeropostale. Is that how you say that? What's that? You're fancy. How does that? How you pronounce that?
Aeropostale. If I know. J.C.
You're
Penney, I
fa-
know.
You fake fancy. All right, never mind.
I'm fake
Aeropostale.
fancy. You know I'm fake fancy. And you know that I spend my money on wine anyways.
I know. Well, you're wine fancy. That's not fake. Aeropostale and JCPenney said in October that it'll hire 13. Wait, JCPenney's hiring? I thought they went out of business.
No, that was Sears.
Oh,
And
okay.
Kmart and all that. Yeah. Long story there.
And the penny's hanging on. Wow. The penny outlasted the other penny. Yeah, it said in October they're hiring 13,000 seasonal employees. JCPenney alone onboarded nearly 10,000 seasonal workers in 2024. We have heard feedback from various retailers that this year they felt like staffing levels are adequate. National Retail Federation Chief Economist Mark Matthews said. He said that retailers are seeing fewer people voluntarily quit their jobs, making holiday hiring less necessary. The NRF expects retailers to hire between 265 and 365,000 seasonal workers this year, compared to 442,000 last year. What we've seen is a lot fewer retailers go public and state that they're going to hire X amount of people, Matthews said, noting that those companies may decide to add staffing later in the season after taking a bit of a wait-and-see approach. U.S. employers shed more than 11,000 jobs a week through October, according to payroll processor ADP. Yeah, so with all these high prices that people are having to pay, of course, people are less likely to leave even these bad jobs that they have, right? Because not a lot of people are hiring these days. And so it's one of those, you're safer where you're at, even though it sucks, but out there it's worse. So that's probably what a lot of, and of course your classic, people ordering stuff online and getting it through Amazon or wherever. So you're going to probably see, if you're going to see a job increase, probably more for like delivery services, I would imagine. Unless they get those drones up and running. Yeah.
Well, yeah. But the other thing that really concerns me here is that these holiday jobs are the, for people who have been underemployed or are looking for new employment or have been, entering the job market or re-entering, the holiday retail jobs are your one real opportunity for that, right? Because if all these places they're hiring, they typically need workers, they'll hire just about anybody because they need the bodies. And folks can go in, they can go in, make good friendships there, get to know the manager, hustle a little bit. And when this holiday season is over, a lot of them will be let go, but some of them will be approached and say, hey, you want a full-time job, or do you want to continue working here? And it's a way to get your foot in the door and get back into the employment market. And that opportunity is being taken away from folks who maybe have historically relied on being able to do this. It's not just about earning extra cash for the holidays or for college students to be able to earn some money when they go back to school, high school students, whatever, during break. This is far more serious. This is about whole swaths of people who historically have been able to re-enter the job market at this time of year, now having that taken from them. And that's serious, as we're seeing a crash of the social safety net, which we'll be talking more about later. This is very serious.
Yeah, and speaking of losing jobs or not being able to get jobs, these are losing jobs here with this federal bill banning intoxicating hemp, a death sentence for many Chicago businesses, right? Just to give you a kind of a TLDR on what the two things are. This doesn't affect the dispensaries so much as it does this affects more of like your mom and pop retail, little corner stores and stuff like that has been selling this stuff for a while, but we'll get to that. Hundreds of Chicago businesses and smoke shops built around selling highs derived from hemp now face an existential crisis after a bill ending the federal government shutdown also effectively banned their products. A late provision tacked onto the bill closes a loophole that allowed for the small traces of THC in hemp to be concentrated into products that have flooded the market as drinks, edibles, vapes, and flour. Hemp business owners now have a year to pull the products before they're criminalized under federal law. And let me tell you something, they're going to wait to the very last hour to pull them products. Guaranteed they're going to sell as many as they can between then and now. That's likely to mark a swift end to debates that have burned on in the city council and state house over what to do about the products whose sellers do not face the steep taxes, security, and testing regulations required of licensed dispensaries. In other words, you ain't paying your taxes. That's pretty much the bottom line here. Local business people have argued they turned to selling hemp products after the state legalized marijuana in 2020, but rolled out only limited licenses. They said that move locked out many small and minority-owned businesses, making legal weed the stuff of corporate-backed dispensaries instead of corner stores. Also, for big farms, too. There's some big farms in Illinois that have turned to growing hemp and now marijuana, and they open their own dispensaries now. So it's almost like they kind of corner the market. Jason Knight, a lifelong Southsider, said he built a $500,000 online retail business selling THC infused ice creams and sorbets. Ooh, that sounds delicious. Derived from hemp. Do you like sorbets? Are you a fan of sorbets?
I like sorbets. I mean, I don't do cannabis in any form or hemp or anything like that, but I do like sorbets otherwise.
I like sorbets too. They're delicious. Knight had been, I was just curious. Knight had been looking into opening a storefront when news of the federal bill killed my deals right on the spot. That's what he said. It's not fair. I'm a one-man show, said Knight, a former social studies teacher. I might have to go back to work or liquidate the business. Recipients of the state's coveted social equity dispensary licenses seeking to boost minority participation in the marijuana business have said hemp products undercut their prices, years of investment, and health standards. Some members of the city council have passed bans on hemp products in their wards, decrying products like one dubbed Skittles and wrapped to look like the popular candy. Yeah, I've seen those candies. They have like these pop themed names, but it's like, a Kelly Parnell, a social equity license holder and owner of UMI Dispensary, over on Lincoln Avenue, called the federal hemp ban inevitable. Congress never intended to create an intoxicating hemp market, Parnell said. In some ways, yes, the ban is a bit of a win for social equity licensees who have been forced to compete against an alternative market with far fewer rules. Ed Marzuski, owner of Mars Brewing over on Iron Street, said many breweries have been making THC-infused hemp drinks as the craft beer business has contracted following the pandemic. Well, those things were pricey anyway, too. And now they're even more pricey. They're still good. The drinks have become too much of Marzuski's business, he said. Brewers were suffering under decreased alcohol sales, decreased consumption, and this was an alternative revenue source to keep them open, Marzuski said. This ban will just drive everything underground. Underground THC drinks. I bet they taste extra dangerous. Knight said his business in Illinois is certainly dead. Maybe certainly dead, he meant, as he considers pivoting to a state that already has its own laws regulating intoxicating hemp products, he said. Talks in the Illinois State House stalled after Governor J.B. Pritzker pushed for the products to be only sold in dispensaries, putting him at odds with the hemp industry and Democrats who supported it. We needed help, not a death sentence, Knight said, because you always have some bad actors in every industry. tobacco, alcohol. The whole industry shouldn't be judged by them. We wanted regulations. Well, with that's the thing. It's like now this just actually just calls into question about the rules in general about products with THC. Again, if it's treated just like alcohol, you could treat it just like alcohol. Like you go into a liquor store, you bring your ID with you, and then you can purchase some liquor, right? That's the same thing. You go into one of these stores, you go buy it. And for the most part, there's a little bit of a security thing. You have to go through the security at the door first, and then they open a door and let you in. And, and then you go to the counter in some places, and then they have other setups. But it's very regulated. It's very, and the taxes are not cheap.
No, and something that was brought up in here, and this is from my perspective. I don't use any of these products myself, as I said. But here's the thing: there has been a decrease in the purchase and consumption of a lot of alcohol in this country right now, particularly things like the craft beer market. It kind of overexpanded and it's gotten smaller. Same thing with wine. As you all know, your Auntie Laney loves her some fancy wine. And a lot of the independent wine shops, and these are the shops that have in my view, the best wines out there, the most interesting wines, wines with character, wines that don't necessarily appeal to the mass market, or they can't because they're made in such small quantities. They're usually sold through tiny shops. These tiny shops are struggling to keep going. And a lot of them do sell the CBD beverages. And they do that because it helps them to keep their profit margins. I mean, somebody can go in there and they've got a convenient place. And many of times these wine shops are in, little storefronts that you just walk on by in neighborhoods. It's a convenient place to buy that stuff. They'll sell gourmet food and all that. But when you take away their ability to sell those products, you're putting those wine shops also in danger. And you even got coffee shops that are selling, little independent coffee shops are selling them. There's all kinds of places, small businesses that's become a profit center for them. And that's being taken from them. That is not good. And again, it is part of the death spiral for neighborhoods when you don't have these places where you can do business and get the products and services that you really like.
Right. Yeah. I remember in Brooklyn, when I was there, they had those products there. Yeah. And, and it was great. They sold like hotcakes. And, it's just, it begs to look again at the laws to say, like, look, what are we doing here? Right. If we're, alcohol is not illegal, but it's regulated, right? Yeah. The same should be for cannabis because yes, it has an intoxicating effect, but it also has some proven health remedies to it too. And a lot of people, I guess a lot of people as Gen X is getting older, we're the ones who use marijuana, use it more for the health benefits and to help with even with like kind of personally, for my personal benefit, to help with stabilize mental discomforts I have at times, and that kind of thing. So, but the thing is, it's like it cuts into your alcohol industry and your pharmaceutical industry too, right? Yeah. They want you on their drugs. They don't want you on something that you can actually grow yourself. What are we, cave people? That kind of thing.
Yeah, and the thing is people, nicotine is legal, and that is, it's not good for you. Alcohol is not good for you, but it's enjoyable. These are things they're enjoyable, and that there's a social contract that says that adults ought to be allowed to make these choices,
right,
for themselves about what they want to consume, and there we are. And that's being allowed, but we're cracking down on this particular product this particular substance. It's been going on for a long time. It's made a lot of money for the prison industrial complex.
Yeah,
and the
definitely.
criminal justice system, and the various coffers, and of course now again they're playing with people's livelihoods. How many people are going to just say, well, forget it, shut down their businesses, fire their workers, and because they don't want the ups and downs of waiting to find out whether they're going to be able to stay in business. They're just going to shut things down. You have more people not having jobs, people's dreams dashed, businesses crushed. And for what?
Yeah, exactly. It could easily be reworked to where everybody's happy in this situation, but no, there's like I said, it's the outside forces with these lobbyists, and the government does this tactic of keep punishing you, till you do give up, and then you give up, and then there goes the dream of that, and like I said, it's not for everybody. It's these THC products, so don't get me wrong. I'm like, well, everybody should be, I'm not advocating. I'm just saying from a personal aspect, I enjoy it, but and those, like you said, adults should be able to make these choices for themselves, what they're putting into their bodies. If they're going to let you put tar and nicotine into your body, they're cool with that. They're going to let you put excessive amounts of alcohol in your liver. They're cool with that, so yeah. So it's really not a medical thing anymore. It's a political thing when it comes to that. Speaking of political things, grocery store prices, that's been the hot topic. I think that's the big uniter.
Yeah, it is.
For everybody. Doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, Republican, independent. These prices is high. Everybody can relate. So relief at the grocery store. What is this? Is this a tease? Did you put this in here as a tease? Are you teasing me with this?
I'm always teasing you, Uncle Warren.
You're such a teaser. You're the teasiest teaser that ever teased with the G-Row, lick my paw. Anyway, what in the name of the baby Jesus? Dozens of food items will no longer face Trump's sweeping global tariffs, including grocery staples like coffee, some fruits, and orange juice. So why it matters, the fresh exemptions cheered by some industry groups are aimed at addressing an affordability crisis that has worsened since the imposition of steep import taxes. Tariffs on food that the U.S. does not and cannot produce domestically have put more pressure on consumer budgets. The levies have worsened voters' perception of the Trump economy. Yeah, his numbers are way down. Here are some grocery items that will no longer be subject to Trump's tariffs. So coffee and tea, beef, seasoning and spices, coriander, cumin, turmeric, ginger, and more. I wonder what the more is. Tropical fruits such as oranges, mangoes, bananas, and pineapples. Oh, that's good. Avocados.
Gotta have that avocado toast.
Ooh, avocado toast. I ain't gonna lie, some fresh avocado, put in some guacamole.
Love me some avocado.
Yeah, I know. The fresher, the better. So good. I had a friend out in California, had the avocado tree. So fresh avocados. It was just insane. Nuts like cashews, pine nuts, macadamia, tomatoes. I love tomatoes too. I like to have some veggie. If I'm going to make a sandwich, I like to have some veggies on there, like tomatoes and lettuce on there. I put some pickles on there too. I know that's not fresh.
I love pickles though. Pickles make the sandwich.
Like the dill pickles, the little slices.
Famous Dave's has really, really good spicy pickle chips.
Pickle chips. Fried pickles too that's not a bad idea. You think fried pickles, but yeah, it works. Yeah. Fruit juices too. So that, yes, but don't expect grocery items to plunge from the tariff rollback. Wholesalers and retailers might pass along some of the tariff savings to consumers, but cost pressures stem from a slew of other factors, including climate risks and labor shortages, especially if they're not hiring people. And they don't have enough people. Yeah, but so relief at the grocery store. That's good news. right?
Yeah, it could be.
You
Well,
get,
as they point out, is that Trump finally realized that we don't grow coffee and bananas in the U.S. I mean, we do have coffee that's grown in Hawaii, and that's about it. Tea, actually, there is a tea plantation in I think it's South Carolina, Bigelow. There is some tea, but it's not generally grown here. So there's a bunch of things that just don't grow particularly well in the U.S. And somebody finally managed to convince them this is kind of silly. And yes, eat more fermented food. I love me some sauerkraut, cacao nibs.
yeah.
I put in my I put just fermented cocoa, dried cocoa beans. Put those in my oatmeal every morning. But some sauerkraut, some kimchi. Ever had kimchi eggs?
No, I know the legends of kimchi and how many tongues they burned off. No, thank you. I hear it's tasty, but I can't take some. It's pretty spicy, right?
Yeah, but it's so good. Yeah, you know the Bigelow tea brand, Constant Comment. You've probably all seen Constant Comment and stuff like that. But you see Bigelow just about everywhere, and they grow their own tea here in the U.S.
Oh, okay. I just know Louisiana because this is make that sweet tea. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
You know how the southern sweet tea is. We like our sugar with a little tea in it.
I like unsweetened iced tea, but
I know, but in general, though, the Southerners down there just love
their
that.
sweet tea, they love their sweet tea, and it's
Yeah,
like it's a process.
that's their checklist of diabetes right there. It's just like the sweet tea is just that's going to get them halfway there if they want to do that. So God love them, but yeah, I like it I like it a little on the sweet side, but some of that stuff is just like, wow, dude, what is this? This is all my teeth just rotted out at one time. Well, here's a fun, happy food story for us, Lainey, to close out the old
Yeah,
Riptide here. I thought this was nice. So there's a city that allows city allows library traffic fines to be cleared with food donations. This is pretty cool. So a municipal court and library in an Oklahoma city are allowing people with traffic violations, certain municipal offenses, probably like, out in public drunk or something like that, and overdue library books to donate food in exchange for lowering or eliminating their infractions. Through the rest of November and all of December, people with violations and fines with either of the Chickasha, Oklahoma municipal institutions may donate food to have their traffic or municipal fines reduced or have their library fines eliminated. Citizens with municipal traffic violations and overdue library fines will soon be able to give back and get a break through to food for fines program, city officials said in a civic alert published on the Chickasha website. I think I'm saying that right. Maybe. The city's municipal court will hold its food for fines program through November 26, which allows an individual with a ticket to turn in non-perishable food items and receive a $10 reduction in their fine per item up to $100. City officials noted that people with outstanding warrants are encouraged to participate without fear of arrest, and people with fines beyond $100 may be permitted to arrange a payment plan for additional remaining balances. That's an interesting way to get people to come in and get their fines. Last year, 30 people contributed food that summed up to $2,826.50 in fine credits, a number that includes people who donated more food than was required and others who donated without citations. Chickasha's public library will run its food for fines program throughout the month of December, although donations will not settle debts for lost or of damaged books fees, but books that have been or are returned are eligible, and any amount of food donated can be used to clear any amount of overdue library fines. So, and then they go on and talk about the process here. I think that's pretty cool. Especially
yeah.
this time of year, a good way, an interesting way of food collection for people.
I like it. I mean, I think I love these creative things. I love offering people creative ways of. I mean, it's an institution. It's the library. They're holding people accountable for things that they may owe. That's understandable. But I also want to point out that, and this was stated repeatedly by food bank managers and policy makers, that if SNAP benefits had been withheld for much longer, there is no way the current systems, the private systems, would have been able to meet the food need in this country.
Yeah, indeed. And let's get into that.
Yeah.
Hang on a second here.
I think it's a feel good story. I think it's great. I love seeing these community outreaches and raising awareness, but that we shouldn't be too comfortable with it, because
Right.
doing things like that is not going to solve the food need problem in communities. And as you know, Uncle Warren, people were able to get their benefits, but for how long and how many people will be getting those benefits back? That's a question right now.
Indeed, because this is like you said, this is just an isolated feel good story, right? This shouldn't really be the norm at all. So go ahead and tell us about, it says SNAP is back, but is it really back? What are we talking about here?
Well, here's the thing. The person who is now running the Department of Agriculture has come right out and said, well, there's a silver lining to all of this. It's forcing a conversation because this is a program that is rife with that is completely rife with fraud. And she, at this point, wants to make it very difficult for people to receive or to qualify for benefits. She is absolutely convinced that people are scamming the system. And there is some evidence that, this is going to happen with any with any program, that you're going to have some corruption. But here's a couple of things to understand about SNAP. I was recently listening to a podcast, by no means were the people who are hosting this podcast left wing, but they had the commentator Malcolm Kayun, who is kind of an iconoclast. He claims to be a Marxist, but he will work with conservatives. He'll speak with anybody. He's from Sweden, and he made an interesting point about SNAP, and that SNAP is incredibly cost efficient because it is a way of giving food to people that does not require a dual or a separate infrastructure. People are getting their food through this program the same way people who are paying cash for their food are getting it. You have the food manufacturers, they have the wholesalers, the warehouses, they have a supply chain, the food is getting to the grocery store. All of these systems are already in place. They are supported by the private sector, who's also, by the way, benefiting from this program. All these job creators that people love to talk about, they're benefiting from that program, and hungry people are getting the exact foods that they need. If we had a separate program for this, it would require a different infrastructure, reinventing the wheel, which is going to cost a lot more money, and it's not going to benefit the private sector nearly as much as the program that we have right now. But that's not good enough. And the people who are in charge of the Department of Agriculture desperately want to shame people for being on the program and kick them off. I'm also going to say one more thing before I dive in here. When I have seen SNAP fraud, and yes, there is SNAP fraud at the store level, that sort of thing that happened. But when I've seen it, it goes a little bit something like this. You've got a desperately poor person who's not getting any cash. We don't really have cash assistance unless you're disabled, elderly, or have minor children. There's really no such thing as cash assistance as part of the welfare program. As far as welfare is concerned, there are a few states that still have general assistance where you might get $50 to $100 a month, kicking around money. But most states don't have that. So you have somebody who has maybe they don't have a job, they don't have an income, but they have $200 a month, say, in SNAP benefits. They can, go to say they can be couch surfing. They can say, look, I can help with food expenses. I'll go eat at soup kitchens, but I can give you some groceries. Or you got somebody who's living in a trailer and the trailer park manager says, okay, you have to give me some of this and I'll give you cash so you can buy diapers or menstrual supplies or put gas in your car. Okay. So it's that kind of desperation. All right. That usually causes this to happen. So, but the bottom line here that we're looking at is there are already rules in place now they're going to make it much harder for people to qualify and stay qualified for SNAP benefits. So if you're following along in the show notes, in the Hill, we've got some things that are happening. First of all, they want everybody to now reapply. Now, people regularly have to recertify for SNAP, but now they want everybody to have to reapply, even if they've recently recertified. What happens here is many people who are on SNAP, they're poor, they may be disabled, they may be elderly, they may be sick, and this is one more thing for them to have to do. Well, guess what, friends? A lot of these folks aren't going to do it. So they're going to fall off. They're going to fall off the rolls, and that's what they like. And some of these folks are just going to die. They're going to disappear into the system. Maybe they will go into some unregulated or poorly regulated care home. Some may just fall into despair and do nothing. Some of these folks are going to die. And I believe that is by design. All right. So that's one of the things that's going to be happening. They're also going to add new work requirements and they say fewer exceptions. So what's going on is if you are considered to be an able-bodied adult, you have to work at least 80 hours a month, which can be difficult if there are no jobs. Witness what's happening with holiday retail hiring. Pursuing an education with what? Do you qualify for student aid? Anybody going to help you out with your student loans if you have to take those out? Or in a training program? And again, what training program? How do they qualify to get into it? How do they qualify to pay for that training program? Are these training programs contracted with the state or somebody who's taking money from the poor for useless training programs? Remember those training programs that they used to put people into for data entry? And this is a true story. When Clinton did the whole welfare reform thing, he basically said, they said, you can't be in college, you cannot be in university and getting benefits, even if you're raising minor children. And I was talking to somebody, she was a professor at a university teaching education. She had women who were working in school. They had minor children, and they had to drop out in their junior year so that they could go into a data entry course. Well, guess a few years later, what happened with all the data entry jobs? They got offshored, usually into the Philippines. So the data entry course had no significance, and now all this, we'll learn to code. Well, we know what those jobs are happening with those jobs. And you had women who, if they had been able to hang on for a year and a half, would have had a bachelor's degree in education, their teacher's certificate, and immediately would have entered at least the lower middle class by virtue of being teachers. And we saw that, and we're going to see this again with useless training programs for careers, people are not suited for, or that are not going to really help them get a job. Mark my words on this. And they're going to have to, again, be enrolled. Now, it used to be that if you were over 54, you didn't have to meet that particular requirement. Now they have changed it to 65.
Of course they just another for Gen X there, right?
And by the way, full Social Security retirement age for those born after 1960 is now 67. You do the math on this. And also, if you were a parent and you had a child under 18, you were also exempt, but now it's under the age of 14.
Yeah.
which means that if you have a teenager who may have special needs, perhaps a child that may require supervision, a child who maybe needs to be ferried back and forth for lessons or trainings or doctor's appointments, or you've got a weird custodial situation going on. Too bad, so sad. You've got to go go to work, or you're going to get cut off that $13, $15, $50, $100, $200 that you're getting every month to buy that child food.
Yeah, I find that interesting that like when it comes to just regular people, when they get SNAP, how the government micromanages to the penny how much they can have, as opposed to like other income coming in. God forbid that they're actually, making money to pay the bills and pay for food thanks to SNAP. But
Yeah.
because for like a single person, I think it's roughly around $200, give or take, depending on the city, per
But
month.
that depends
But
how much money you're making too. So I mean, that's the
exactly,
highest. Yeah.
that's if you're not making any money at all. Like if you're on unemployment, and even then they'll take unemployment into consideration too. How much you're making on unemployment will determine how much of your food stamps you get too.
So also, it used to be that you didn't have to meet the work or education requirements if you were a veteran, a homeless person, someone who was homeless, or transitioning out of foster care. Now, hey, y'all got to go back to work. Y'all got to find jobs, whether there's a job or not for you. You have to find a job, or you have to try and find a training program, or you have to go into debt to go back to college.
Yeah, and a lot of these jobs that's being shipped out to the Philippines, those are going to be going away too, because AI is going to take those coding jobs,
Yeah.
right? So, so it's like those were never coming back at all, right? It didn't matter. Oh yeah, we'll do coding here. No, we're not. Everything's that you see what's going on. Automation and AI is the thing of the future, especially if it's going to save them a lot of money to do it. Of course they're going to do that.
And finally, they're kicking off the immigrants, with a few exceptions, like Cuban and Haitian immigrants, some people from the Micronesia, Marshall Islands, and Palau. But if you have a green card, you'll be eligible for SNAP after a 5-year waiting period. Unless you are under 18 or have a U.S. military connection, I'll leave that there. Refugees, including those who are human trafficking survivors, people who have been granted asylum, will also lose their benefits. So what they've done is they've taken this opportunity to distract everybody with this shiny thing of, are we going to refund SNAP or are we not? Are you going to be able to eat? Are you not? And they've turned around and behind the scenes, cut off most immigrants, most asylum seekers, young kids who are transitioning out of foster care, the homeless, many adults, and veterans. So a lot of people are not going to be getting their food stamps, or they're going to quickly lose them. And those who remain on them, it's going to be a much more precarious situation as they have to reapply and recertify. And how bad things are when you try to do that sort of thing. When you get into a poorly funded and managed state system where you have to recertify. So there's that problem. There's one problem right there.
Yeah, and even doing it, you might be able to get away with that if you did it as like kind of a gradual thing, but to do it all at once, to have everybody reapply at once, that's going to clog the system. There's going to be people trying to reapply through the website. Those websites are going to crash. It's going to be a catastrophe. And like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't by design as well.
Yes,
right?
I believe it's absolutely by design.
Yeah, maybe people who only get a few bucks from it, or they say, well, they get frustrated and they're like, well, this isn't worth it. But on the other side, you have people who desperately need it to feed their families, and then they have to reapply, and then there's all these technical glitches and stuff that are sure to come.
Yep.
And
you're homeless. Let's say you're homeless. Okay. So maybe you don't have a computer handy for reapplying. And yeah, you could possibly go to the library if your library is still being funded. Because I lived in a town where they had lost library funding, and it was basically being managed by volunteers.
Right.
This happens. People don't realize that. People who live in urban areas where there is some concentrated wealth, they're experiencing this collapse in a different way. And people need to be aware of that. So again, I believe a lot of this was smoke, mirrors, and distraction. I expect it to get worse. And I don't think we're in a great position. The people are not in a great position to respond because we have one of the most efficient systems for getting food to people, and that is the SNAP program, and that is being dismantled as we speak. So there's that right away. And keep in mind, again, that the retailers that would normally be lobbying against this sort of thing, their balls are in the hands of a White House that likes tariffs. And yes, they've unclogged some of those tariffs, but grocery was never a huge money maker. It runs on volume, but they've got the tariffs on things like cars and furniture and other things that would be that would help prop that up. And that's going to car parts, components, computers, all of these things are being clogged up with tariffs. So the retailers are not in a good position to fight back right now.
Yeah.
You heard it here.
That's true.
Yeah. Now, there are a couple of other things that are going on. I want to draw people's attention to this. There are about 6 states right now that are actively lobbying to allow SNAP recipients to buy hot rotisserie chicken. I've got a story in the show notes about this, an Alabama House bill of all places. So here's the thing about SNAP that is kind of driven a lot of people nuts, and that is you can't buy hot foods. What you can do is a store can have a pre-made meal, and they can make it, and then they can cool it down and put it in a fridge, and they can buy it. People can buy it cold, but they can't buy that same meal hot. And that goes for rotisserie chicken. This to me is an act of humiliation and cruelty.
Yeah.
It is an absolute act of humiliation and cruelty. Remember, if you think, and a lot of people do, well, certainly they should be buying the ingredients and cooking things at home. It's more cost effective. It's more nutritious, that sort of thing. Keep in mind, not everybody has the ability to store, even if they have the benefits to do it, they don't have the ability to store food safely. They do not have the means to prepare or cook it safely. They don't have pots and pans. They do not have a kitchen. They do not have a spice rack. They do not have the means. They don't have a refrigerator. They may be in an insecure housing situation, even if they're not homeless. They may be in an insecure housing situation where if you put food in the fridge, somebody steals it. And yes, there are people who do that. It happens all the time. All right.
Yeah.
So one of the things that people can do is they can buy some hot food, and then at least they're getting their meal. And a lot of grocery stores will use up their food that they can't sell in time. They cook it, and they turn it into a meal, and it becomes, they can sell it that way. Rotisserie chickens are one example. And the cool thing about rotisserie chickens is you're often getting a good deal. You can oftentimes get several meals. You could cook down the bones for stock. It's a good option. So there's 6 states now that are lobbying to allow for it. I'm hoping that those laws will change. There have been at various times experimental hot foods programs where people could use SNAP benefits to purchase fast food. Popeye's chicken, McDonald's, whatever, and where they could actually buy food from fast food places. And that worked. I don't know why they've not really, I don't know why these programs are so controversial. They make sense. They keep the money in the community, and they ensure that people who need food can get fed, even if they don't have a kitchen, and even if they don't have a place to store the food. So there's that.
Yeah, especially when you have a community that has a lot of homeless people. Yeah, I've seen that out in California when I lived there, and as I said in Brooklyn too, where people would be on SNAP, and you say, "Oh, well, why aren't they staying in a shelter or something? Why are they home?" Because the streets oftentimes are safer
They
than
are.
the shelters in these major cities like that. I can't attest for all the cities, but a lot of these shelters, you're kind of, yeah, it is. It's kind of like one of those situations where even if you're able to store food somewhere, they get stolen. And so they're out on the streets and they need a hot meal, especially on a cold day. They need something to help warm them up too. So they may be getting these benefits that just don't have a home to do it. They may have like a temporary address or something, but that's the reality of it too. And it is, it's like you said, it's a cruelty to like, oh, you got to
It's
wait
humiliate
for it to
people.
cool
Now,
down
you have
before
to
you
wait till
can
it's
buy it.
cold and then you can buy it. We know
Yeah,
exactly what you're trying to do there. We
that's
know
a very
exactly. And
elite. Yeah, it's very
it's
elitist.
disgusting. It's absolutely
Yeah,
disgusting. It drives me nuts. And Trauma Raised Me does say that there are some counties that are still running the programs. I'm glad to hear about it. Hope to do some more research. Thank you. It's awful. And, and the heck of it is that during COVID, all of this stuff was, nobody seemed to have a problem with it. In fact,
right.
I think it was in Chicago, it may have been other places too. If you had minor children, everybody got SNAP benefits every month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Everybody got
think
them.
that, yeah, they gave a lot. They gave a
Yeah.
lot more SNAP benefits. They did that. They did the top off with unemployment too. If people were on unemployment, because they knew the economy was crap, nobody was going into these stores. But you do need food, so they hooked it up that way to try and save things. But I tell you, with this thing now, to doing this to people like this, you may see some unpleasant changes coming in the future that nobody voted for sure. But uh do you know anything about Cloudflare there,
Uh, uh,
scientist?
Scientist?
You're a scientist, aren't you?
No.
uh
Oh, well, just one thing I wanted to mention. If you're checking out the show notes on Substack, there is a really good Facebook post that I linked to in there. Tips for donating to food banks by somebody who actually works at a food bank. I would strongly recommend checking that out. She's got some good information. Food banks are not the total answer here, but certainly it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to check out what they got going on.
right on. Yeah, those are all in the show notes on what is it, on the Undercurrent, for you, the letter U, is that what
Yep,
it
it's
is?
Substack.
Yeah.
I'll just go in there and I'm going to put the link in right now so you can check it out. There it
Well, while
is.
you're doing that, let's get I was seeing some things funky with the internet yesterday. And maybe this had something to do with it. Cloudflare outage ruin your morning. Consumer groups say blame profit hungry big tech monopolists. So just weeks after major Amazon Web Services and Microsoft Azure outages, Cloudflare on Tuesday became the latest company to break the internet, prompting consumer watchdogs to take aim at big tech and call out industry consolidation. This outage is another brutal reminder that the internet is far too dependent on a tiny handful of tech giants, said Public Citizen's big tech accountability advocate J.B. Branch in a statement. For years, industry lobbyists have insisted that deregulation would spark innovation from smaller companies. Instead, we got the opposite: mass consolidation of data, compute, and infrastructure into the hands of a few dominant firms whose failures now cascade across the globe. Governments and companies continuing to contract with the same handful of companies are increasing the fragility of both the internet and entire economies, Branch continued. Congress and regulators must finally step in and crack down on anti-competitive behavior, opening markets, requiring interoperability, and ensuring smaller tech firms can compete so the entire digital economy isn't held hostage by the failures of a few dominant companies. After Amazon's outage last month, Public Citizen and other groups, including the American Economic Liberties Project, Demand Progress Education Fund, and Tech Oversight Project, called on Federal Trade Commission Chair Andrew Ferguson to swiftly conduct a market structure review of leading cloud services providers, including but not limited to Amazon, to assess how their market dominance and use of monopoly power to stifle competition is creating systemic fragility across industries. In other words, are they got a chokehold? And is that a problem? I think it is. What do you think? You think having that much of the internet in the hands of a few people, probably not a good thing, huh? Especially with the outages.
Particularly with the outages and with the fact that many people are relying on the internet for so many things, including getting their utilities started, shopping, managing insurance claims, things that may have legal claims, legal filings. And when you have it in so few hands, and something goes wrong, well, there's a real problem for folks trying to go about their everyday lives. The other thing, of course, is when you have such a huge amount of power, when you have so much power in your hands, there's a lot of bullying you can do.
Yeah, definitely. And you may be able to pull the plug on certain people that you don't have a good opinion of, or they don't have a good opinion of you. And that's the old slippery slope. In a statement to Forbes, a company spokesperson said that the root cause of the outage was a configuration file that is automatically generated to manage threat traffic. The file grew beyond an expected size of entries and triggered a crash in the software system that handles traffic for a number of Cloudflare services, stressing that there is no evidence that this was the result of an attack or caused by malicious activity. They could be very well covering that up too, allegedly. The spokesperson added that we expect that some Cloudflare services will be briefly degraded as traffic naturally spikes post-incident, but we expect all services to return to normal. So, and one of the services I use, or one of the sites I use for news overseas, is the Cradle, and the Cradle was like flickering back and forth yesterday. It was like, and a lot of other places too was having issues with that. We also have those solar flares out there, so have you heard about that? The solar flare-y things, the cookers that are coming?
And Chuck has saved us more than once with his drones, even though the Space Force targeted him.
And his pizza too. He saved us with his drones and his pizza, because his pizza is delicious.
Yeah, wonderful pizza.
Indeed. Florida.
Let's talk about Florida. Yeah, let's talk about Florida. All right.
Let's talk about the Florida man. I love the Florida man stories.
Marxist radicals at The Economist. So what's been going on is that, and this is, I've been hearing bits and pieces about this article, really, which again is in the show notes on our Substack. Check it out. You can check into it. What is going on is that, and this has been happening particularly since the pandemic, that the school education system has kind of been, it's being, as they put it, unbundled. And what's happening is that families are getting a chunk of cash from the state, effectively, that they can spend on educational experiences. So now there's a cottage industry of individuals running programs out of their homes or other small places where the parents are paying for their kids to get education over here or over there. They're getting training in one area and being ferried back and forth. For those parents who have the money, of course, and the ability to ferry their kids back and forth. And as a result, public schools are losing their students, which of course will cut what kind of funding that they can get from the state and federal governments. But it also means that you've got this new cottage industry providing educational experiences for kids that are being subsidized through taxpayer money. And the parents are making the choices. And what has also been pointed out about this practice is that there's not a lot of testing going on to ensure that these the students are actually benefiting from these systems. So there's apparently parents who are applying for and getting permission to use funds to take the kids to Disney World.
Huh.
Or I mean, because I guess they go to Epcot and and they get they can visit different countries while stuffing their faces or something like that.
Yeah.
There are some micro schools, some of these tiny schools that are offering some very excellent programs, but what we're seeing here is a dismantling of the traditional comprehensive public school where there's a place for every student. Every student theoretically has the opportunity to get a well-rounded education. And again, good conscientious parents can certainly make the most of these benefits, particularly if they have the luxury of having one parent staying at home and have an automobile and live in a community that has these schools. But in other communities, other parents, other families don't have these. And these kids might be in a situation where they're either being quote unquote homeschooled and getting very little education at home, or they're going to a progressively dismantled public school where resources are being bled off because other students aren't attending. And I have very mixed feelings because I feel that in many cases, schools don't do a very good job by children who are being bullied, who have special needs, children who are extremely academically gifted. A lot of kids who don't fit into a mold oftentimes have problems with many public school programs. But by dismantling and handing thousands of dollars in benefits to individuals, members of the community, we have a progressive dismantling of the education system that does exist, and there's not a lot of accountability going on. Nobody's checking to see if the kid is actually learning. I have been reporting on this for a long time, that particularly after the lockdowns where the kids were sent home to learn online, despite the fact that many households did not have good internet, did not have good Chromebooks or computers for the kids to learn on, despite the fact that elementary school teachers in particular in this country are not trained to teach online, which made things very difficult, and maybe at home with their own kids. That a lot of kids simply, slip through the cracks. We know that kids are not doing well when they're going to college, they're graduating, not doing well. Although Mississippi is actually seeing some better results. They're calling it the Mississippi Miracle, where they've actually gone back to phonics. That's a different story. These kids that are going to be going into college or going into the job market very poorly equipped. And this is in effect being subsidized by Florida, and kids who don't have a lot, who are not already in a good privileged position, I fear are going to end up the losers. Whereas the kids who do have involved parents, who do have cars, who do live in communities with the good micro schools and opportunities, will flourish, or will enjoy the benefits, while the rest of the kids are not going to get the attention and interventions that they need, and the schools themselves will quietly just sink into oblivion.
Yeah, indeed. And we see this. I know a lot of us saw this coming too, because Florida has been really doing some radical things anyway with this, and definitely been trying to get like charter schools and vouchers and that sort of thing, anything to get public funding to pay for private schooling too, which is another sticky wicket as well down there. But
And charter schools, don't always have the same or private schools, religious schools do not always have the same requirements. A public school has to take any kid. If you're under, usually it's like if you're under 19 or something like that, they have to find a place for you, period. And it
Yeah.
doesn't matter how disabled you are, doesn't matter how sick you are, whatever, it's very difficult to exclude a child or expel a child from the school system. And with the rise of charter schools, and the progressive defunding of the public schools, we are going to be seeing situations where children may be living in areas where there is not a school that will accept them. Again, if you look at this article in The Economist, they're getting $8,000 vouchers. Now it's like SNAP. It's restricted how you spend it.
Mm-hmm.
But they have to get approval for that. But it's $8,000 in state vouchers. And this, I think a spokesperson for the Brookings Institution is saying, look, they're not, this is not being tested. This is not being measured. The success of these programs. There's no accountability at all. And I really do believe that, again, this is a dismantling of the public welfare state. It is a dismantling of communitarian spending and the idea of the common good.
Yeah, and it could be a nightmare scenario for colleges too, trying to find these kids and understand what certifications they have for getting into college too, whether they pass these certifications or not with this homeschooling as well. When it's kind of a Wild West mentality of was it the free market education is what I guess that's what that is. So,
and I'm all for holding bad educators and programs accountable. And I'm all for saying that, there's I think definitely room for religious education and programs for kids who have special needs, children who have high intellect and really need to be developed. I'm all for that, but that investment is not really happening there. It's instead going to individual families who can pick and choose as they wish, or if they're desperate, they can use those funding to hang on. They can use that funding to hang on, but the kid's not necessarily getting the education they need. And with kids, you got one shot. When it comes down to it, they grow up fast.
That's right. They sure do. We did. We sprouted like weeds, and yeah, and now look where we are now. You guess what? Put on your bathing suit. It's time to dive into the press pool. Uh-oh. Look at that. See, I don't think you've seen that yet. You see, look, it's all the reporters and they're in a pool.
They are.
See, look at that.
Warren, you're so clever.
I found the clever lever and then I pulled it. So here we go. It's Trump versus the BBC. Ding, 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 ding. Wrestling, because that's what it is. It's all kayfabe. The BBC is the latest media organization to be targeted by Donald Trump's highly litigious machine. The fallout over a Panorama episode that included a misleadingly edited clip of the U.S. president's January 6, 2021 speech led to the resignation of two BBC executives and Trump's threat to sue the BBC for $1 billion if they do not retract the episode. How likely is he to succeed if he goes through with such a lawsuit? To answer this, we must look at two distinct issues. First, how defamation laws on the books apply to the situation. And second, how things might actually play out in practice. Defamation laws enable individuals to obtain remedies such as compensation when another party makes false allegations that damage their reputation. The BBC has admitted that the Panorama footage was misleading and that it clipped together two parts of Trump's speech that were actually 50 minutes apart. That is no good. No. However, this by no means ensures that a defamation claim by Trump would succeed. Trump must meet set requirements to prove that the footage was actually defamatory. He would face significant difficulties doing so in both England and the U.S. First, Trump's existing reputation is hardly unblemished. Oh, man. Dagger to the heart. and includes court findings of fraudulent conduct, sexual assault, subject to ongoing litigation in the U.S., and impeachment twice for inciting an insurrection against a democratically elected government. He was later acquitted for that thing, for that one. Furthermore, he won the 2024 U.S. election within a fortnight of the episode's broadcast. It would therefore be difficult for his lawyers to prove that he suffered reputational harm from this Panorama episode. Truth defenses are also available in both jurisdictions. These protect a defendant whose allegations contain minor inaccuracies, as long as the sting of the libel, in this case, that Trump's speech contributed to the storming of the Capitol, is true. English defamation law, I had to say it that way, is noted for being claimant-friendly, particularly compared to the U.S., so suing in this jurisdiction would arguably have been preferable for Trump. But in the UK, a defamation claim must be brought promptly within 1 year of publication. That's all Trump does. This is what he's been using his presidency for, he's either suing people or people are suing the government because of his ridiculousness, causing these stall tactics. That's what these lawsuits, that's what he does. He'll do like some sort of executive order, right?
Yeah.
And then of course some groups will come forward and sue him and say, you can't do this. This is illegal. And it ties it up in the courts for a while, and it stalls. And 9 times out of 10, he has to, pull it back because, but for some reason there's that stall tactic that happens, which, leads to distraction. That means that's why you have to pay attention when that kind of stuff happens, because there's some other stuff happening that they're trying to distract you from.
Well, I agree with all that, Uncle. You're absolutely right, Uncle Warren, and I agree with that. But there's something else going on here, and which I find very distressing. I mean, in addition to the fact that the British people are obviously, their noses are out of joint about this. It never should have happened. Okay, with the BBC, what they did, what their people did, I'm like, whoa, how stupid could these folks have been? But the UK is a U.S. ally. We've been allies for a long time. As much as the UK people in the UK rightfully moan about our shenanigans over here, they're an ally. But there's something else going on here that's deeper, and that is that you'll always hear me harping on the need for a free, independent press. And this sort of thing could potentially hamper the international press community from reporting on what's going on over here. And it sets a terrible precedent.
Mm-hmm.
The BBC, those people have left their jobs. They've apologized. They've admitted it, egg on their face. And Trump is pressing this, and it's a form of press suppression. Nobody wants to have to deal with this crap, and we need no newsroom wants to deal with this crap. And it's absolutely essential that not only do we have a free and independent local and national press, the international press is critical for keeping an eye on things, for reporting. We need Al Jazeera. We need the BBC. We need, we need these these press organizations to be keeping an eye on us, just as our journalists are keeping an eye on other countries. And this kind of nonsense can suppress that activity, leading to an even darker situation than already exists.
Yeah, there's already a fear of like AI, like these AI videos and audio. It's not quite 100% yet, but once it gets there, then you're going to have to worry about in court cases whether audio and video is even going to be admissible anymore. Besides, so there's always these fears of this, of manipulation like that. And the last thing you want to do as a press organization is edit something to make it sound like it's not. to edit something out of context to push some sort of personal agenda or something in your paper. That's a horrible thing to do. That's, if you want to get rid of your credibility, there you go. That's a good way to do it. So
it is terrible. It should never have happened. But now the situation is intensifying with this, in my opinion, ridiculous lawsuit, and the backlash when the dust settles will be in the journalism community, the international press corps. And again, very bad situation. As bad as the situation is right now for journalists, I see it getting worse.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of worse, it's time for the Clownfish School.
Oh, Lord, this is one of the dumbest things I have seen in a long time.
Robinhood and GoPuff could replace ATMs with cash delivery. What is this? Imagine if instead of visiting an ATM to get cash, someone brought that cash to you. Oh, what could possibly go wrong
with that?
People, look, it's drivers, you lose food all the time. You don't think they're going to lose money? Come on, please. Digital finance platform Robinhood is banking. I see what on the idea that this scenario will appeal to its customers. Wall Street Journal reported Thursday last week. To that end, the company is teaming with delivery platform GoPuff. I never heard of GoPuff. You heard of GoPuff?
It's a Turkish company that was developed to bring snacks to stoners. And
so like the original.
They drive around little e-bikes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
that was like the original Pink Dot in LA back in the 90s. They had that too. They deliver you cigarettes. That was crazy. Okay, so GoPuff to let customers withdraw cash from their Robinhood bank accounts and have it brought to their homes for a delivery fee of $6.99 or $2.99 for users with over $100,000 in assets in their Robinhood accounts. Customers can have cash delivered to their homes in a sealed paper bag. Oh my God, it's mafia style. It's great. They get to be the bag man. While this offering might seem quaint in an age of digital payments, Robinhood Money Vice President General Manager Deepak Rao said in the report that cash deliveries could eliminate one of the main reasons consumers still go to bank branches and ATMs. Everything gets delivered to their house, from burritos to medicine, Rao said, per the report. Why not cash? Now imagine any reason you could ever think of for going to the bank. You get this free candy, the lollipops. They still have the lollipops. I don't like people. I don't go there. Cash delivery is already happening in New York, and there are plans to bring it to San Francisco, Philadelphia, and D.C. and other major cities in the months ahead, the report said. Customers must be members of Robinhood Gold and have direct deposits of at least $1,000 a month set up to their Robinhood bank accounts. So, executives from the two companies said they collaborated to address some security fears, you think, that might arise about getting cash delivered, according to the report. Customers will need to present a verification code and take their cash directly from the driver rather than having a package dropped off. Yeah. You just got a stack of cash waiting outside your place. Yeah, that's going to stay there. The delivery worker won't know if the sealed bag contains dollar bills or any of the myriad other household and food products that GoPuff sells, the report says. So you'd have maybe you got a cheeseburger in there, you got a pack of cigarettes. Oh, got some money too. Don't forget
burrito, cash burrito. You benefit no matter what. And then you've got these guys on these little purple scooters driving around. They're targets for any street criminal. Again, burrito or money. It's a win-win.
So the question is, do you advertise yourself as a GoPuff delivery guy anymore? or right, or do you have to go plain clothes? Otherwise, people will try to take your cash, right?
I got nothing. I mean, this is one of the most insanely stupid
It's like
things I have ever.
It's Timu Brinks. It's a Timu Brinks car. Only it's on a bike with cash and maybe like a burrito and a soda pop.
Or your up until for the next year, CBD drink. I don't know. I saw this and I'm like,
it left you speechless. I would not want. Okay, first off, there's so many reasons why.
Brain cells too.
Right? This is a brain fire. Look, I'll tell you this, right? This is okay. I'm not going to advocate for this at all. So I'll tell you why I think you shouldn't do this. One, you're probably going to lose your money at some point, especially if you do it on the regular. So don't ever have anybody deliver your cash for you. Go to the ATM, go to the bank, go do whatever you do to get your cash. And then you'll be a lot safer, right? And two, that dude's probably going to get robbed.
If not killed.
A lot. Yeah, if not killed, a lot, right?
And that's going to be carrying a piece, and then they're going to have shootouts. Bang, bang, bang.
There you go. And then other people might get hurt too. See, and then that's just more hassle you don't need, right? I mean, are you really that lazy? What are you, like Bruce Wayne? You got to have your stacks of money delivered to you. Is that what it is?
Have IRS and bunco agents trailing all of these guys, and then if you're really lucky, if they're both watching for somebody, and then you've got different agencies chasing them, that and this has happened where you have the different agencies starting to shoot at each other. Because they don't know who has jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So delivering cash is basically a nice match to a gasoline can full of war zone on the street. So let's try and avoid that as possible. So finally, today we got some fun things for you here. This guy, do you remember that movie Speed? With what's her name? With that lady, who drove the bus?
Oh yeah, and Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock.
Keanu Reeves. Yeah, he's like, "Whoa, you gotta keep driving." I don't know. I can't remember the text, but anyway, that kind of happened in real life. Only it wasn't Sandra Bullock or a chick at all. It was a dude. And this is a fun story. Man who took Hamilton bus. This is Hamilton, Ontario, in Canada. Man who took Hamilton bus on joyride, quote, did a great job driving, left no dings, said local police. There's said bus right there. He stole this bus. A man took a Hamilton City bus on a joyride last Tuesday with passengers still on board, say police. This is like that episode of Seinfeld where Kramer was driving the bus. At about 9 p.m., a bus driver parked at the downtown McNabb bus terminal and left for a short break, Hamilton police said in a news release Wednesday. A 36-year-old man of no fixed address boarded, I guess that means he's homeless, boarded the bus, sat down in the driver's seat, and drove away up to the mountain. I don't know. It says the mountain's capitalized. I don't know what that is. The bus was an extra long articulated model, meaning it had an accordion-like attachment joining the first vehicle to the second vehicle, said police spokesperson Trevor McKenna in an interview. The man made several stops along the way, allowing passengers to get on and off at bus stops at roughly any time 10 passengers were on the bus, McKenna said. There's not a ding on the bus. He did a great job, said McKenna. It's comical, but at the same time, it's serious. We can't have people who know how to drive buses drive our buses. Wait, what? We're thankful nobody was hurt. Transit Director Nancy Purser said the city is working with police to see if any changes can be made to prevent similar incidents of better drivers of buses than the actual bus drivers in the future. I added that last part. The union representing drivers did not respond to a request for comment because they said, yeah, he's not with us. He's an actual good driver. So at first, passengers didn't realize the man wasn't a bus driver, McKenna said. But when he started making some wrong turns, rookie mistake, man. You got to learn that map. They started asking him questions, and one gave him directions to return to the scheduled route. Well, that was very nice. He even went as far as to deny someone looking to board with an expired bus pass. Look at this guy. He's role-playing. He's cosplaying. Police said in the news release. Police strategically followed the bus, mindful of the potential risk to public safety, they said, and God forbid people getting to their locations on time. Officers worked with Hamilton Street Railway and accessed the bus's GPS to know where it was going, McKenna said. They kept their sirens off. We didn't want to spook them, he said. We didn't want to make this a tragedy. When it stopped on West 5th Street, about 15 minutes later, the man was taken into custody without incident. He was charged with theft over $5,000, possession over $5,000, obstruct police, and drive while prohibited, and was also given a medal for great driving, saying that's the best bus driver they ever had. McKenna said they didn't release the man's name because there may be some stuff wrong with the dude. Sorry, I kind of embellished that towards the end there. But, yeah, he just took the bus and said, see ya. Would you do that? Would you do that? He didn't have to go. He didn't have to keep it over 50 miles an hour. He drove very safe. Like the guy said, no dings. No dings.
Oh, Chuck, this is awful.
Let's start Have you ever been on one of those buses that have like the accordion middle? They have some in New York, and
the bendy buses.
Yeah, they have seats on those bendy parts too, because they don't waste space.
And you're just like, whoa. From the UK.
They're cool.
Yeah, I think there's some in Chicago, or there were. But I think
I've seen
the
some.
bendy buses came from the UK. I want to say.
Yeah, that's a good idea. To do that, because those streets are really, especially like in New York, and I know around here too, that there's some hard turns to get around, especially when you're trying to haul a bunch of people. But I like the double-decker touristy buses too. I always like those too, where you got to go upstairs in the bus. You know, it's fancy. That's all we got today. That's it.
We got a lot.
We did.
Yeah, despite all the technical problems we were having, I mean, we got a lot in here.
I ain't gonna lie, some of that technical stuff was on me. I woke up a little late, and I was doing some stuff around here, and I said, well, okay, I got everything done last night, but I hadn't have everything set up for this morning, and that takes a few minutes. So that's when you saw me, and I went, hold on a second, I'll be right back. I just wanted to check in and let you know I was here. So. And you were here too. Yeah, well, you had a little bit of audio issue thing with your headphones, but we got that taken care of.
We got it taken care of.
And we put on a great show. What do you think, huh?
What do we think? We really appreciate all of you in the chat. Love having you all here. We love your support. All of you, talking, being respectful, spirit of the age. You've been making some really interesting comments. Bella, go start. We got all of our good friends. Trauma raised me, Chuck, all of you. I'm so proud to be part of this community of folks.
Yeah, they're good people, very loving and supporting. And, I like the fact that a lot of us have different opinions on things, but because we all come from good places, and we all have common goals as to, like, we know that the system is not doing a service for the people, and that I think, and me personally, I think we have to change the system before we can do other things, and hopefully we can all unite to do that and change it for the better, make it work for everybody and not just a handful of people. So you got anything exciting coming up till next week? What about your Turkey Day plans? You got Turkey Day plans?
Yeah, going to be with my family down here. I make my special cranberry sauce with brandy in it.
Oh, brandberry sauce is what
I
you
make my
mean.
cranberry sauce, yeah. And I'll be picking out the wines, of course, that'll go with the bird and everything else. And I'll be doing that because I've got to pair my wines. You know how I am about wine, Uncle Warren.
Yeah, you're fancy when it comes to that wine. I appreciate your the information and the history that you have with wines, that you're so easy to talk about that stuff. I know it just tastes good. But I've got a better appreciation for that. I wanted to address what Bella said real quick here. Hi, finger man. For
For the
mild
credit.
entertainment, I thought the mild entertainment was a nice touch. Very spot on,
That's
Bella.
very
We
funny
see
too.
our audience knows me very well. You're the information. I'm the mild entertainment. Uh, very mild, like a salsa that you're just like, really?
Well, remember, I'm boring as hell and a stick in the mud. That is how I was characterized at one point, and I was very proud about that. So, but yes, there's a lot of entertainment. We got good folks here who are coming from a good place, coming from different perspectives, and that's why I believe in free and independent media, so that different perspectives are shared. I really want to thank you all. Do consider, if you want, subscribe to the Undercurrent for You channel on YouTube. And we have we've got the Substack, so you can follow that. We do appreciate that. And wait a minute, what's this? Hold on. Can't go with dry wine and turkey. Could you explain what you're talking about? I'm curious as to your perspective here. I tend to favor Chardonnay or Pinot Noir with turkey myself, and something like a South African Chardonnay can go very nicely. And then Pinot, I usually pair with turkey, but I'm very interested in your opinion on that particular pairing. And yes, Auntie Lainey does love her cheeses.
Yeah, I like cheese too. I like a nice chilled ripple, like Fred Sanford from Sanford and Son. You big dummy, give me my bottle of ripple.
Well, but when I was over, you really liked. I want to say, you liked the South African rosé that I brought.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
Yeah.
I swing both ways. I like the reds and the whites. I like to pair them up with like the whites more like with the chicken and fish, and the red with the beefs and stuff like that, and the porks. But it wouldn't by themselves. I could go either way because I particularly like though that South African one. It was very. It had a nice flavor to it. Like it had a nice full flavor, but it was light at the same time too.
Yeah.
It was very,
It's
very, very easy to drink. Unfortunately,
it's one of my favorite grapes, of red. It's usually a blending wine. You find it in a lot of French wines. It tends to be very expensive in some of the rosés from Bandol in France. Very expensive wines, but I love this. It's a single red grape varietal in the South African wine, and it's half the price you're going to pay in some cases, or even far less than you'd pay in France. So there it is. Okay, I got to ask you, Spirit of the Age, is it the turkey that's giving you the cotton, the wine's giving you the cotton mouth, or is it that's giving you the cotton mouth? I'm just putting that out there.
Look, I'll tell you this. This is how you do it. If you want to solve your problem, you want to have a nice wine with your turkey, deep fry the turkey. All right. You gotta make sure it thaws, otherwise, and do it outside in a deep fryer. Okay. The outside, the skin will be nice and crispy, and then the inside will be so juicy. It doesn't matter how dry the wine. You could be drinking sand. It doesn't matter. That turkey will take care of you with the moisture. So you're welcome in advance. And as a Southerner, I'm pretty sure you understand the merits of a deep fried turkey and the deliciousness that goes with the danger. Have you ever done a deep fried turkey?
I've had deep fried turkey. I've had grilled turkey. I have
grilled turkey's good too.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. But I'm just saying, I would go with a Chardonnay that has had some oak on it, that has a richer mouth feel, and you can Pinot Noir, a nice kind of a juicy Pinot Noir can also go very nice without overwhelming the meat. So that's where I'm going. Again, a Gruner Veltliner goes with just about anything, or a nice dry Riesling. So there you are. Yeah, so those are my recommendations. Maybe next year, Auntie Laney will do a wine pairing show special for everybody. Who knows?
Hey, look, I hear you on the dry turkey, dude. Because I've had some dry
I don't like
turkey.
a dry bird either. I mean,
It's rough. It's like you're eating mushy particle board, not particle board. What are that? Drywall. It feels like you're eating like mushy drywall. It's just or not even mushy drywall. Just crumbled. It's just you get the cotton mouth, and you're sitting there like drinking 8 glasses of tea or whatever you're drinking. Because that's why but the thing is, if I know I'm at a party with dry ass turkey, I'll make sure I'm the first one at that gravy boat, and I will drown that turkey in gravy, and that seems to help, So.
And you know what I do with my leftovers is I make a stuffing waffle. So I take the stuffing, mix it up with an egg, put it in a waffle iron, and waffle it up. And then I reheat the turkey, and I put the turkey on top, and then I pour the gravy over it after being reheated and all that, and then that's my turkey stuffing waffle.
You know what? We need to have a maybe the show next week. The next week show is the day right before Thanksgiving, right?
Hey, maybe I can. Maybe I'll do something for that. Yeah.
We should do just like a straight up like food show or something. The whole day,
or at least part of it. We're going to have news we have to have our news for the folks, but we can have a whole turkey block.
Yeah, turkey block. I know, right? I think that would be cool, because I think we have a lot of foodies in the chat.
We do. And I keep on threatening to go rogue. I'm getting my studio set up here, and hopefully we'll do some food stuff, maybe on the Undercurrent, for folks. Just go rogue one day and have some fun. But you'll have to be subscribed to the Undercurrent channel on YouTube or on Rumble, because I'm not going to be running on Uncle Warren's channel, because that would be mean.
There'll be beatings for sure, but that's why I pay extra. So, yeah,
it's a degradation that costs you extra, Warren.
Listen, all I gotta say is, if you can do a deep fried turkey, once you eat a deep fried turkey, you really don't. The other turkey is just kind of lacking, because it's like deep fried turkey is like the Las Vegas of turkeys, right? You get it, it's all crispy and it's juicy and it's dynamite and everything. You go back to house to the spouse, and it's all just plain and the same. Anyway.
All right, friends. We digress. All right. We
gotta go. Bye. I'm sorry.
We appreciate all of you. We really do. Thank you. Thank you all.
Yeah, thanks everybody on YouTube and Rumble and Facebook and on Instagram. It's gonna look a little weird on Instagram, some of that stuff. Yeah, I think all you see is my mouth in some parts, but that's fine. You get to see Lainey's face. That's all that matters. I think if it were the reverse, it'd probably break the internet, so we can't have that. So this show will be back next week at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific time. I'm going to be back on Friday with morning extra. More bad news as always. Same time, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific time. Of course, got the secret show coming up Saturday night at midnight Eastern and 9 p.m. Pacific time. So shows. I think next week I got to double check and confirm next Wednesday evening. My buddy Rob Moore, physicist up at the University of North Dakota, him and his astronomy buddy, they're going to be coming on and just destroying all our hopes and dreams that 3i Atlas is an alien craft, because they're realists and they're scientists. Anyway, so they're going to come on. We'll do some sciencey stuff hopefully next week, but I'll let you know about that. Anything going on with you? Any exciting adventures you're going on?
Not particular. Just as I said, I'm trying to get my place set up now that my housemate has departed and I got the place to myself. So it's going to be a lot of work.
All right. Yes, indeed. Well, good luck with that. I need to do some reorganizing too with the old studio here. I've got some ideas, but I'll see how that works. I may have to take off a couple weeks to do that. So to rebuild the studio into the Bat Cave. But I'll let you know. But not take off from this show, but take off from my other shows. But we'll see. I'll make the announcement there. All right, we gotta get out of here. Lane's got shit to do. I do too. Peace out, everybody. We love you. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Hi.